The sky's falling, the wind is calling, stand for something or die in the morning. Section 80, high power.
I'd like to know how you met or how you first took notice of Dr. Dre.
For the first time, well, before he shot me out, it was in the air. It was rumored in the air that he was, get in touch with my, my company, Top Dog Entertainment.
Yeah.
And I didn't know for sure. Then he shot me out on the radio. Then I knew that it was official, that he really wanted to work.
And is it true that you got a connection to him, or at least his label, through Mixed by Ali? Isn't he working with him?
Yeah, it was weird. One of the Aftermath reps called Ali's phone, looking for me. So it was kind of weird. I don't know why they called my engineer phone out of all people.
Visions of Martin Luther staring at me. Malcolm X put a hex on my future, someone catch me. I'm falling victim to a revolution.
And now going through your last releases, both of your LPs had a strong concept.
Right.
So I was asking myself, how do you approach an LP? Because I would go into different details later, but how do you do it generally?
How do I do it generally? Just really tackling what I'm feeling at the time. I really want to just go back and really tell stories that I haven't told before. So that was the space I was in. Reminiscing and putting a message throughout the full story. And when you're tackling the concept, you got to be very cohesive. About what you want to talk about, the concept and the content. And everything got to be real distinctive, or you'll lose the listeners. So it was something I had to learn throughout the years.
So because I've asked myself, are you sitting there and then you'd be thinking like, I got 15 tracks planned, this should be the story in the end, or how do you do it? Because just going through, like, you put references in one song to the other, then they'd be saying listen to track 10 and stuff. So how do you do it before you start writing, or is it just...
I know the type of concepts I'm gonna talk about, so it's really, I do it as I go, really, as I'm writing it or finish doing the song. It's already mentally planned where I want it to feel, where it just fit inside the album. So by the time I'm done constructing it, it'll already be there.
Real quick, Ali. Got me breathing with dragons. I'll crack the egg in your basket, you bastard. I'm Marilyn Manson with madness. Now just imagine the magic I like to ask is don't ask for your favorite rapper.
He dead.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Church.
He dead.
I killed him.
Amen.
Bitch.
Which role did Dr. Dre play when you recorded this album? Because I think you came to his label, or you started working with him, and I think you had something like a vision where you want to go there. So, because I think he's been the guy who's been telling guys, try this and try that, and he's been forming a vision to them, but you are a little bit different. So what did you do?
You're right. He already seen a vision when I put out Section 80. He recognized, I already had a story to tell, I already had concept, and I was already developed, so he basically told me to go out there and make my album, bring it back, then we get in the studio, and work on, his music, his production, but it just happened when I brought it back, he said I was finished. He didn't want to, really step on something that was already what he considered, a great album, so he just wanted to put it out immediately.
Because the thing which was very interesting for me was you got this concept in your album, but you also got the, let's name it, major singles and stuff. Yeah. So how much thought did you put in this? Because you have to, you started with a major label with a concept album, which is very crazy. Right. So how much thought did you put into this whole thing?
Man, a lot of thought. It comes with a lot of trial and error and trying to figure it out. It's hard to explain. I can't really explain it to another person or artist. It just, you have to be very intricate and smart to know how to maneuver, to keep the listener's ear and still appease, people on a universal level. So that was the balance I found within this album. Still being able to tell my story, still being able to stay within concept, but also make it to where everybody, gets it and understands it.
And this is rigor mortis, and it's gorgeous when you die. I leave recorded and I'm Morpheus, the matrix in my mind. I'm out the orbit, you an orphan and a hairdresser combined. I'm on the toilet when I rhyme. If you the shit, then I decline. I climax where you begin and then I end on cloud 9. And that's important when you morph into an angel in the sky. And don't be forging all my signatures. My listeners reply and tell me that you biting style. You got a hell of an appetite.
Which I found very interesting from the very beginning was your choice of beats.
Yeah, I think about the feel I want to go for. You know, I want to go real melodic, you know, moody, but also aggressive. Anybody that knows me, I'm very, very, very picky when it comes to beats. I don't care if you have a bunch of good beats, you know, if I feel like somebody else can rap over it, you know, or it's just a great beat, good beat, then, you know, I bypass it. It have to move me in some type of way, you know. And that's my whole thing. I'm very selective when it comes to, you know, picking out instrumentals.
Okay, I think you've been in contact with hip hop very early.
Right.
So let's go back in the history and let's go back to Compton, because the funny thing from today's point of view is there was a time when you, I think the major of Compton, let's say Eazy-E, had problems with Dr. Dre. So
right.
Did you ever talk to Dre about this and your position as a hip hop fan in this whole thing?
No, I haven't talked to him about that yet. We have shared a bunch of stories, but we never spoke on that yet, you know.
And for you, was it like you took a side, like it was Eazy-E who's the greatest rapper alive and fuck the rest, or how did you deal with this whole thing?
Yeah, I definitely feel Eazy-E was a pioneer, you know, for sure, a pioneer for not only gangster rap, but just in hip hop in general, you know, being able to express yourself, you know, the way he did, the way Q did, you know, the whole way NWA did. So he definitely a pioneer. I have not yet, you know, spoke to Dre about it. I know he probably holds that particular situation personal and very dear. So sometimes, you know, you take things for what it is, man, and let it, you know, breathe on its own.
My statistics go up in weeks and I go visit the nearest creek and I get busy. Yo, mini MC, really ballistic. Anybody can see any assistance. Everybody to see some persistence. Recognize I be really too vicious. The permanent beast and the demolition. Bringing up the streets, better partition. Better dot your T. Hannibal mention. How all you see. Putting my dick in the rap industry. Everybody bitching, getting mad at me. Recognize Kendrick in a battery. And I'm charged up in a catastrophe. It's charged up in audacity. And y'all fucks never gonna hassle me. And y'all luck just ran out, you'll see. He did.
So everybody talks about Eazy-E and what he did, but what did he do for the structure or for the whole infrastructure of Compton, like building up a record label and stuff? Did you profit from that?
Yeah, definitely. It showed me how to do it the independent way first. I started with Top Dog Entertainment, TDE.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm still with. And knowing the fact that, you know, they sold, you know, these records without radio play, I think that benefit everybody in hip hop to know, you know, people still want genuine music they can feel. And it proves with my album, you know, all the way damn near 20 years down the line, you know. I'm one that, you know, Swimming Pool is just now really starting to pick up and be, you know, top 10 urban in the U.S. And it goes to show that people still, you know, enjoy music with a message and feel good, and selling 250,000 records, you know, the first week, the biggest debut since Drake, shows that, you know, people still love genuine music without having that full outburst of a mainstream look, you know, on the radio side.
So this is the most interesting thing I think about you, because you're, let's say, a lyricist on the one side, but on the other side you mentioned to enter the mainstream.
Right.
So did you have, because I remember how you told people about that you changed your name from K-Dot to Kendrick Lamar and stuff. Did you have a vision how to manage this whole thing, how to enter the mainstream, and what was the vision?
The vision wasn't entering the mainstream. The vision was having the mainstream come to our world. Yeah, that's where, you know, a lot of artists and labels get confused. You know, they want the unique artists to go to them, but sometimes they need to come towards us and understand, you know, the world of actually connecting with music. Come feel this connection that these fans have at these shows and understand why they're diehard, rather than just going to mainstream and I'm putting out one song, the next thing you know, you forget about me because a new artist just came out with a better song. So it was really about, you know, them coming to us. Why do a song like Swimming Pools? You know, it's real tricky. It's real tricky because it has a feel-good hook to it where it sounds fun, you know, and you're enjoying yourself. But listen deep into the lyrics, you know, it's actually a concept within itself. And that's what I mean by, you know, having that balance and bringing them to our world, you know.
Fuck that. 8 doobies to the face. Fuck that. 12 bottles in the case, nigga. Fuck that. 2 pills in the halfway, nigga. Fuck that. Got a high tolerance when your age don't exist. Man, I swear my nigga tripping off that shit again. Pick 'em up, then I set 'em in cold water. Then I order someone to bring 'em Vicodin.
Your whole album is like you tell different stories, but then you be telling people, okay, this is my vision of girls and party when I was 17.
Right.
So was this some kind of plan to become an adult artist or a grown-up artist, and but also managing to talk about stuff teenagers would like?
Yeah. I don't think it was a plan. I think it was just real organic, because I know for a fact we all can relate to that. You can date back to when you were 17. A 40-year-old man can date back to when he was 17. So it's really about, knowing something and having an ear for something where everybody can listen to it. And that's what it's about, really having that connection some way, with the masses rather than just a group of people in the neighborhood or just your neighborhood or just the West Coast.
Like listening to your album, we've been listening to your album very close before we do this interview. So you got like the first 4 tracks, and then you got the next track, Money Trees, which sums it all up.
Yeah.
So this is how do you do that? Because this must have. How does the process look like? Have you been writing those 4 tracks and then thought, okay, now I need to sum it all up, or how did you come up with the idea for that?
That's tough. I'll be giving you all my tricks, so I'll tell you.
Money Tree is good too. Real good.
I'll be giving you all my tricks. It's really just about, man, knowing how to, the suspense of just writing rather than just doing music. Knowing how to write first, knowing that you draw the attention in with the listener with a suspenseful story, you play on that, you reach the climax, you do the rising, then you do the conclusion. Just knowing that, and me being aware of that, knowing that I have a song called Shireen, and knowing that I want to do something different. I want to start my album off, with the rising, peak of the story. Knowing that, and knowing for a fact that, I have to connect the pieces somewhere down the line. I have to have a song that makes sense, so I'm always keeping in the back of my head, how to make these connections for each individual song I do. Okay, I do a song like this. Let me make sure that I tell this story so that can make sense. Because without this Money Trees, you wouldn't understand Shireen. You wouldn't understand swimming pools. So it's just a continuous cycle when I'm in that zone of recording. Being aware of that.
So have you ever thought about writing movies? I think you could do that.
Yeah, I think I'd do it. I think that'd be definitely an endeavor and a passion.
And just mentioning movies, when I listen to the album, very, very close thought, thinking of Menace to Society.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking myself, how would your new version of Menace to Society look like? Would it be this movie, or what would have changed?
From Menace to Society?
Yeah.
Menace to Society ended with an action of it wasn't any hope. With what you call it, getting shot at the end. That the hood will always be like this forever. My movie, have that same dramatics and had them same, type of feeling, vibe, and reality of it. But at the same time, it end with a little bit of hope and positivity, knowing that at least one person out of that group of friends did make, a certain type of change, in their life, and that reflected on, the kids coming up and the generation after them.
Yep, her president is black, she black, purple label on her back, but that dab is like blue, she take it straight to the head, then she look at me, she got ADHD. 8 doobies to the face, fuck that, 12 bottles in the case, nigga, fuck that, 2 pills in the halfway, nigga, fuck that, got a high tolerance when your age don't exist, like whoa.
I want to talk about the concept of Mad City, because you got this Ice Cube side with the beat, and with you starting to rap.
Yeah.
So why did you do this, and what was the idea behind this song? Because it's in the center of the album, so it must be important.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely. It was really a matter where I needed to make sure I express how dark and evil, you know, my circumstances could be. You know, beginning of the album, everything is really more melodic and laid back.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit of aggression, but more of a storytelling type vibe. Okay, now, you know, I had to get to a point where, you know, you still hear them elements of NWA. You still hear that anger and that aggression and that frightening, you know, sound in a teenager's voice of living in this crazy world. So I wanted it to be most ignorant, dark as possible, you know, just to explain. Like, if you didn't understand the words I was saying, you would have felt it with the actual beat and the music and the voice tone that, you know, this is a dark place. Don't come here.
Lord, forgive me. Kill him, wait, stand over him, shake his hand, then jump back in that minivan, double back to his block and blam. I ain't backing down for nothing. I'ma back him down like Shaq with this black 223 in my hand. Better pray that this chopper jam like a radio single, man. Police radio signal saying that a 187.
And something which I also found very interesting with your use of the voices, like I think you've been compared to different artists, but one artist I would like to talk about is Ludacris, because he's the guy who also uses his voice very different.
That's crazy. I never heard that. Yeah, that's dope. Luda's dope.
So, but he has never been important for you. I think you didn't have put him in your top 10 albums.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Ludacris is a great artist, but you know, my top 10 is just always be my top 5 and top 10 albums.
Okay. How do you approach features, or just because I have the feeling when it comes to features, you're an MC with all competitive, like listening to Blast, what you did there, or your song with A$AP Rocky. This was always waiting for this part and then over, finished. So how is it you listening to what the other guy did and then trying to be better, or how do you do that?
No, not really. Most of the time they just give me the instrumental, and I know I gotta bring my A game, so I'm not gonna do nothing that's half-assed. So most of the time they're usually listening to my verse and then having to go in. But you know, I really don't be caring because I know, you know, I'm going.
Or is it you knowing that the other guy will do his very best? Because, for example, the Schoolboy Q song, after his verse, I was thinking, okay, you can't do any better than that, and then you came in and totally different rhythmic and stuff. So,
yeah. Yeah, that's a different circumstance. I heard the song, and I heard Q verses, and the thing about me with features, whether I'm on a feature or I'm getting somebody on my feature, I like to take the song to the next level, or I would like you to take the song to the next level.
Okay.
Do something totally complete, you know, different from what I was doing. And that was the point on the Blessed record. I wanted to do a different flow. That's just, you know, make the song peak even more. And that's what it's about, you know, having them little spots and little moments inside the record, you know, that make it climax.
We drink and smoke marijuana, want us to change our ways, You see this game we play come from uncles that raised me in Compton. Ask me what I have accomplished, I don't know, I don't have conscience. I just load up and start dumping. No enemies, I'm headhunting. No sympathy, ain't no love. When you in these streets, just get something. Protect your neck, cause they coming. For set respect, split your onion and chop your deck. Your head tumbling like gymnastics.
I heard that you've been working on it to try to work with Flying Lotus. Is this true? It's also from LA?
Yeah, Flying Lotus, he got some crazy stuff. I haven't got a chance to lock in with him, bro. We were running into each other this past 2 months.
Okay, so this is crazy because you're going from Dr. Dre to Flying Lotus, which is two very different sides of LA. Is this the musical cosmos of LA, like those two guys?
Yeah, man. I mean, just two individuals that's passionate about music. You know, I'm all for the work, especially being from the city. So it's really no big deal. I mean, Dre just have more time behind him and more hits, of course.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same day, we are here for the ultimate goal, and that's to continue great music.
But how would you describe your own musical background or your horizon? Because you've been listening, at least when it comes to the samples, you've been using in the past to very different music, like European electro to soul to all the different stuff. So how would you describe your own musical horizon or background?
I'm very detailed when it comes to if picking samples. I want to be unique. I want to be something that everybody else have. I'm very huge on just melodic, sounds and then putting aggression over it. I think that's one of my best niches.
I think there's also with the gang culture in LA, you also got different gang influence, at least in your crew, with I think Schoolboy Q and J-Rock belong to Crips and Bloods. So, how do you discuss about those things in your crew, or are there any problems with the whole surrounding of those guys, or how do you deal with that?
There's definitely no surroundings. I mean, LA is so different now. You have to actually be out there to really understand it. It's hard to describe. Nobody's really, tripping off colors. It's more of a money thing. If anybody ever get into it, I mean, the color is still there, but it's not as huge as you would think it is. You have Crips and Bloods hanging together all day, because they're affiliated some way. City is so small, that can be your cousin's best friend or your best friend from your cousin, whatever. So it's really not a big problem when it comes to where each individual from, unless they had personal beef prior to them being coming together and being rappers.
So, but isn't this also on the other side, like you don't know what will, if there's anything like beef going on and you be in the middle of this whole thing, isn't this also on the other side with the whole personal connection very, very dangerous? Yeah, definitely would be very, very dangerous. As far as what the artists getting into it with each other, or what you mean? Yeah, like you got your personal surrounding, and then you got a guy who's from the Crips and the other one's from the Bloods, and then you're cool with one of them, and then the other one is beef with them, and then you're in the middle of this whole shit.
It depends on how much respect they have for you, So I know none of my homeboys that I grew up with is going to disrespect me, to the point where they with me and then they see a rapper or artist I'm cool with, then they want to beat them up or do whatever, to them, because they'll be disrespecting me, be messing up my business and my relationship. Do that on your own terms. Or better yet, don't do it at all, because first off, it's petty. Second of all, if you ain't making no money from either one of us, and third off, it's petty. So it depends on how much respect they have for the artist, in order to respect that dude's wishes.
He is a sort of gangster, because this is a gangster story, but a gangster with a difference, because this is a gangster with a conscience.
I've been asking myself this whole term conscious MC. How would you describe it these days? Because I have the feeling as soon as an MC starts talking about something with substance, he's a conscious MC.
Yeah, everybody's a conscious MC. 50 Cent, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, DMX, Jay-Z. They all report, stuff that they go through. In the hood, especially 50 Cent, he tells stories. He's conscious. He has a pulse. His blood is pumping. Everybody's conscious. It's just,
So where's the difference between 50 Cent and Common?
50 Cent and Common is more like an activist.
Okay.
I think that's the difference. More of an activist in it. But I don't like the classification of artists anyway. Well, especially me. I don't think after a while, probably his next album, they probably won't be able to put me in a box, and the whole world will just be confused. Like, damn, he can't figure it out. He's just a good rapper over some great beats and some great storytelling, over some great connections with his fans and the people in the world.
'Cause ignorance is bliss.
God will bless you in everything that you do. I pray that you will grow intellectually so that you can understand the problems of the world and where you fit into in that world picture. And I pray that all the fear that has ever been in your heart will be taken out.